Welcome to the Balance and Bliss podcast. I'm your host, Andrea, a 3-time published author, speaker, and a lifestyle transformation coach who believes everyone should be given the gift of knowing how to live their lives feeling healthy and empowered. Things like moving your body regularly and fueling it well, taking care of your mind, setting boundaries, practicing self and body acceptance, personal growth, manifestation, and everything in between. Wellness is not linear, and it's not just one thing. It expands into so many areas, and on this show, we're going to talk about just that. We're all striving to live a little more healthy and a little more well, but what does that even mean? My goal is to help you see that you can move from the mundane to the magic when it comes to living aligned and fulfilled, and by tuning in each week, you can be assured you'll leave with nuggets of wisdom that you can implement into your day-to-day, like right now, to help you maximize your health, wellness, and your life. Now let's dive in. Anyway, let's just dive into it because everybody is here today to listen to another body conversation. And body conversations, I think, are really great because they're for everybody who listens to this show or everybody who's like lived in a body and existed in this world. I feel like we've all had experiences as it relates to navigating body image. And I just think that, when we can have these conversations with real life people, that it just feels more like something that you can connect with. So thank you so much for being here and chatting with me today. You can say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm really, really excited too. So I haven't even given your name, although it's in the title of the show, so everybody knows who they're listening to, but they only know your name. That's it. And so how I'd like to start this episode is, of course, by you telling everyone a little bit about who you are. So not only what you do for work, but like, what do you love? What do your days look like? Like, who is Cher?
Okay. Well, full name for legal purposes as a realtor, Cheryl Goetz, but everybody does call me Cher. And I am a realtor and a designer in Kitchener-Waterloo. I help people buy, sell, and renovate their homes. Outside of work, I am a mom of 2 very spunky little girls. They are 3.5 and 1.5. I have a husband. I got a giant black shedding dog who I love, but is at the same time the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
And really, I love exploring the city and the region that I live in. I love going to farmers markets, new cafes, different locally owned shops, and, sharing everything that I find with people on my Instagram.
You also recently, well, I guess it wasn't that recently. I think I was still pregnant at the time, but you went and explored like the heck out of Stratford was that last summer?
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to remember. I think so. Me and a friend that you also know who is a small business owner. She was on the show, right? Sarah.
Yeah, she was.
Definitely listen to her episode if you haven't, because it was amazing. We went to Stratford for a weekend and we were like, we're not going to do dishes. We're not going to make any beds. We're not going to clean any bums. We're just going to work on ourselves, work on our business, bounce ideas off each other, and eat out every meal and drink lots of wine. And that's what we did. And it was absolutely amazing. And I would love to do it with her again. And then we would also love to do it with a bunch of other girls too, who want to kind of have the same journey.
I kind of feel like I'm just waiting for you guys to announce when that's happening. Sometimes I message Sarah. I'm like, hey, is that thing happening yet?
I know. Our big thing is we want to find the perfect house to do it in, right? Because we definitely have a vision of how we would want it to go. So perfect house, perfect location, and perfect time of year, because nobody wants to be walking to every single meal in the dead of winter.
Totally. And so if you're listening to this and you have a really unique property that you like to rent out, or I know of a really cool and unique property that you've stayed at, send me a message or send Cher a message and let her know.
Mhm.
And then that way, like I feel like that's how you find like the perfect place. Is somebody's like, oh my gosh, I stayed at this really cool place one time. And then all of a sudden you're staying in like this fantastic location that you would have never otherwise known about. Anyway, okay, so Cher the realtor, Cher who loves decor. People would meet you and everybody else who has ever done a body conversation, and you're just like people, average people out within the world. And one of the things is the common thread between all of us is body image
Mhm.
and the way that we go through this world, like I said earlier. So the first question that I kind of want to ask you to open up this conversation is, what is like your earliest memory that's tied to your body or body image? And what are some of the things that you've said to yourself over the course of your life?
So the earliest thing I can remember is I was in elementary school. It was, grade 3, 4, 5, that kind of time. And it was recess. We were all sitting on the grass, cross-legged, and I was in shorts. And I looked down and my thighs were not only larger than all of the other girls around me, but I had stretch marks on them. Like in
Mm,
elementary school, I had them on the inside of my thighs. They were just like the white kind
the
of
lines.
those
I
lines. And I
remember
was
when I
like,
first noticed those on my legs too.
yeah, it's so strange when you notice them for the first time. And I'm like, what is this? And I learned, it's just like when a part of your body kind of like grows really fast. So since then, like I've definitely always like attached a thought to that part of my body that they were like too big or something. And then it was strange how sometimes it came up. Like I remember fast forward 20 years and this, douchebag, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, douchebag, like at an all-inclusive resort, like I heard him call me thunder thighs. And so it was just, it's this weird thing that's followed me. And by no means do I think that it's necessary or appropriate, but that is my earliest memory. And then it's just like interesting how it came up a couple times in my life since then too.
No kidding. And like, this is the thing is people don't realize that they'll make like a one-off comment to somebody. I think that that's like one thing almost everybody that I've talked to, not everyone, but most people, they can remember and identify like this person said this to me one time and I never forgot it. Like, you have a really pretty face except for whatever, or like somebody makes a comment about like thighs, whatever it is, and that really sticks with you and that can really impact you a lot going forward, especially if you're already, they didn't know that when you were in grade 5, like you noticed that you had these stretch marks, which for the record are totally normal, right?
Yeah, it is interesting, like the power behind people's words. And now raising two daughters, I am getting like very aware
Mm.
of what we say, how we say it, and when we say it.
Yeah, that I would say that that's kind of like I've always struggled with body image, but when I had clear eyes, when I started like being hyper aware of like the things that come out of my mouth, the way that I look at myself, what I say about myself, sometimes even what I don't say, right? Because kids are very observant. They can see if you're, looking at yourself for too long, or they can feel the energy of the way that like you're connecting to your body. So you have two girls also. Would you say that you started like shifting that mentality when your daughter was small?
I think that I've always been really conscious of the mentality around body image and creating like a positive thought process around my body.
Yeah.
But the only time that I really kicked it into high gear is after I had my first daughter. Then I was very aware of what other people were saying. Like I always knew that I
Mm,
didn't want to speak poorly about myself in front of my daughter, but what took it to the next level is I was not scared and am not scared of like calling out what other people are saying that they're not realizing could affect her one day.
Mm-hmm.
Even things like what my husband says, what grandparents say that are very common, they're off the cuff. Nobody thinks twice about them. We're going to try to rewire our brains and not say those things to them or around them as they grow up.
Or like offer some sort of deflection. Like I know one of the things that Clara always gets is like, oh my gosh, you're so tall. Like, look at how tall you are. And I don't want her to like have a complex about how tall she is because I already have that. And it's so like deeply ingrained into me that I can't like even oh my gosh, so this is a little bit of a tangent, but like even last weekend I was at a Christmas party and we are getting together for a photo and like everybody's kind of getting in, and my first thought is like I don't want to be on the outside because I'm taller than everybody else, and then it just looks like a bunch of really short people, well I guess whatever, a bunch of smaller people than me, and then
Yeah.
me like this big giant on the end. And so I'm still always so conscious of that. So when somebody says it to Clara, I'm like, oh yeah, especially in like in front of her, oh yeah, she's just tall like I am, like so that she hopefully doesn't feel like it's a negative thing and something that like always needs to be pointed out. So before we started recording, Cher mentioned to me, we were talking about, okay, here's how the body conversations usually go. And she shared with me that she has like this whole cool strategy that I can't wait to learn about. And she calls them her self-love hacks. So can you introduce to us? I feel like everybody who's listening, this is probably going to be really valuable for, but why don't you introduce to us like this concept of the self-love hacks and like maybe where they came from?
Yeah, so I'm someone who loves hacks, like whether it's for kids or for like home decor or home maintenance, like anything. I just love to find hacks to do things like more efficiently. When it comes to my mindset, I find that if I'm really struggling with something, I have to come up with something that I repeat in my head over and over. So it's like if I'm struggling with, imposter syndrome or an insecurity, I'm like, okay, let's think of a saying, a mantra to be attached to that thought. So every time it comes up, I know to say that to myself, and that recognizes the thought and then squashes it. So over the years, I have come up with these hacks. Like it has been now over 10 years that these have
What?
been kind of like in development, and I've never ever told anyone about them. They're just in my head, you know, I would say they are definitely the reason why I am very body confident, like even through a lot of body changes with two kids. So I have 12, which
Cher, you should
is
like, I mean, this probably isn't even on your radar because you said you've never shared them with anyone. But this is the
never.
type of shit you put in like a workbook for people.
I should. I've thought about doing like a series on Instagram or something about it. But yeah, for sure. Like I definitely have to put them out there, but I'm glad that I've saved it, their debut for
Oh
you.
my
It's your name,
gosh, I'm getting the
please.
first exclusive look at Cher Getz's self-love hacks.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the first one that I find very powerful is we've all like stood in the mirror and saw something about ourselves that we didn't like. So let's say so the skin on our tummy, like after having babies, none of us like absolutely love it. What I do is I ask myself, why don't I like that? And if you ask yourself why enough, you realize the reason you don't like that certain part of your body is because someone told you you're not supposed to.
Hmm.
So I am not someone who does anything people tell me to. Not much of a rule follower, love to just apologize rather than ask permission. And so I'm like, well, why would I listen to like these losers telling me who they've never met what I should and shouldn't like about my body? Like when you think about it, it just seems so silly.
It
And
does.
it probably is like the silliest old balding man living in a mansion somewhere that has come up with these things. So really, like, every time that happens, I just remind myself that, this old white dude told me I'm not supposed to like my thighs. Like, why would I listen to him? I wouldn't listen to him about anything else.
That's really cool. Like you said, when you put it in that way, it's like why don't you like that part? Like
Yeah.
who and who is it? And usually going back to, that the douchebag at the resort, like maybe it was the douchebag at the resort that told you, but who the fuck is he? Like I don't care
Exactly.
about him.
Yes, it's very important to ask yourself, why don't I like this about myself? Why don't I like my big nose? Well, somebody, a cover of a magazine never had someone with a big nose. Well, that's no reason not to like it. So you
Mm-hmm.
just got to ask yourself why enough times, and you come down to the realization that, like, it's not for the right reason.
I think that what I like about what you said about these hacks, and I know we're only into the first one and I'm loving it already, but is like the whole repetition thing, right? Because if we think about, like, oftentimes the way we feel about our bodies is like so subconscious and so like auto programmed almost, that in order to change that, we have to have repetition. We have to
Mhm.
consistently and constantly repeat the new thing so that we can slowly break away at the old thing, right? It's like
Yeah,
reprogramming, subconscious reprogramming. It's a thing.
definitely. So my second one is, so I remember in university, I found myself comparing my body to other bodies. Like, I would be at the gym, and this girl in, a little tiny sports bra and like really tight shorts and this perfect body would be working out, and I'd compare myself and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, why can't I look like that? So I would pick something that I love about my body, and I would tell myself that, like, she doesn't have that. So, like,
Mm.
we can't all win. It's the whole, like, curly hair, straight hair. Everyone with straight hair wishes they have curly hair, and vice versa. So, like, I would pick anything. It doesn't even have to do with like body image, but let's say, like, my leg hair, for example, is blonde. And so I would tell myself, oh my gosh, she must have like the thickest black leg hair that she has to shave every other day. And I hardly ever have to shave. So, like, that's a win for me. So, like, yes, she has like a beautiful ass, but she's got to shave every other day. So it's like, I just try to find something that it's like it balances out. Nobody's perfect, and you have
Mm-hmm.
to focus on the things that you love about yourself instead of focusing on the things that, again, we're told that we're not supposed to love about ourselves.
Well, it's also like being your own hype person, which I often talk about. It's like you have to, sure, you're going to have people around you that like build you up, right? Those people that really support you and are in your corner, they're going to build you up. But like you also have to be able to build yourself up. Like it has to come from within. So if you can like stop and take a moment and be like, okay, this is making me feel a bit self-conscious, but look at this about me. Like this is kick
Yeah.
ass about me. Then it can like shift your mindset.
Yeah, like, maybe she doesn't have that. I should be grateful that I have it. And it's not like, tearing another woman down. That's not what we want to do. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, trying to focus on something that you have, that someone else would look at you the way you're looking at her and wish that they had.
Yeah. Yeah. Which it's the grass is greener. Like you said, the curly hair, straight hair thing. So
Yeah,
true.
yeah. It's that, like, if everyone threw their problems in a pile, you would probably grab yours back. Okay, this is a big one. How other people feel about your body is not something that you have to fix. It's something that they have to fix. So if someone in your life is bothered by your weight or anything about your appearance, you have to remember, like, that's on them. That's their problem. That's something that they have to work through on
Mhm.
themselves, that they're bothered by someone else's body, and it's not for you to fix. Your
Mhm.
value isn't instilled on, how they feel about what your body looks like.
Yeah. And it can be really hard, like when you're feeling very self-conscious, to not fall into that
Mhm.
trap and in that pattern. But I guess if you're like combining this number 3 with some of the other things, it really helps you to then start to not have to worry about other people. It's so hard though, right? Like it's so hard when somebody else is saying something about you and maybe you're already feeling a certain way. It's hard not to internalize that. But if you can consciously be aware of, you know what, that's not me. That's not on me. That is their own thing. That's their own issue, blah, 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 whatever it is. I remember when I was pregnant, I posted an Instagram story, or no, it was a reel about like I was in my swimsuit with my pregnant belly. And I was just something about how, like, you know, you can still wear a swimsuit when you're 7 months pregnant or something like that. And somebody commented in like the comments, obviously that's where you comment, but in the comments, somebody made some sort of remark about like working out and not promoting like being fat. And I was like, I'm fucking pregnant, you idiot. But also, like, what is wrong with you that like you feel the need to say that? Like, that's a you thing. That is not a me thing.
Yeah. And I think we all have some people in our lives that make us feel less confident and less comfortable in our bodies. And so like, you know, let's say you're going to the beach with that particular person, you try to like pick the most flattering bathing suit, or maybe you don't wear the 2-piece because like the way that you think they think about your body. And so every time that happens, I just tell myself like, no, this is not my problem to fix. This is their problem to fix.
Yeah. And I also feel like there's either one of two things. People who have no business saying anything to you will say something to you, or you're so worried that everybody around you cares so much about what you look like, but like actually nobody does. And then you just overthink the things for no reason because nobody notices the things on you that you notice, right?
Exactly.
These are so good. I love them so much.
Thank you. Oh, I'm glad. I'm like, I hope someone can like these as much as I do. And this isn't just me senselessly rambling. So number 4 is you should let people love things about your body. And you should also believe them when they tell you that they love something about your body. So for instance, I was really self-conscious about my boobs for as long as I can remember. I just kept thinking like, they don't look like they do in the movies. Like, you know, they're just not where other people's are. I'm like, mine aren't up that high, but anyways.
Same.
And my husband absolutely loves my boobs. And I could so easily like shoo him away, be like, oh my gosh, don't, like, I hate them, blah, blah, blah. But I just made a decision early in our relationship, like, no, like, why should I take that away from him? He loves them. And so I just kind of, you know, embrace the fact that he loves them and he wants to give them attention. And I find that it has like made me come full circle. And I don't have negative thoughts about them anymore because they've just received so much love. So I'm very happy for them. And I don't even give it a second thought anymore. So who am I to take that away from anybody?
I'm just so happy for them.
I'm happy for me. I'm happy for them. I'm happy for him.
But that kind of reminds me of this whole idea that like, and I want to say women primarily more than men. And I don't know why this is. I mean, I have some speculation. But women are really hard on themselves, but also like, it's really difficult to take compliments and to like believe people when they say something about you.
Yeah, I think we need to, when people give us a compliment, you know, we need to say thank you. We need to believe them. And when it comes to like our intimate partners, and I think because, you know, we always want to like turn the lights off and do it that way, you know, for
do
like
what?
More
do what that way? What are you doing with the lights off, Cher?
I mean, you did it a couple months ago. But I think we need to look at it as a privilege. Like anyone who's going to have that experience with you and see those parts of you, it is a privilege. And you need to look at yourself in that light. Like, this is a privilege for you to be seeing like every part of me. So here you go. And I always ask my girlfriends, like, have you ever taken your clothes off and a guy walk away? Like, no, absolutely not.
Right.
They are there and they don't care.
Yeah. The people around you, they always see like again, those supportive people around you will always see those great parts of you and let them receive them and keep the lights on.
Keep the lights on. You were like, this is not that kind of podcast, girl. Like,
it can be whatever kind of podcast we want it to be. It's my show.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so the next one is super simple and it really applies to everything in life. And it's just don't waste time worrying about something you cannot control. I cannot control the cellulite on my ass. So I am not going to waste time worrying about it. I have enough to worry about in my life with like kids and work and relationships and a house. Some of that I can't control either. But I mean, something as silly as cellulite, I cannot control it. And therefore, I will not waste my time and energy dwelling over it.
Mm-hmm. And also, it's physically impossible unless you absolutely starve yourself to go against your genetic makeup. Right. And vice versa, absolutely starve yourself, or you can eat and eat and eat and eat and still, again, be the same size. And, people will say comments on both sides, like, why don't you eat a sandwich? Or maybe you should stop eating hamburgers, or maybe you should stop eating whatever it is. And it's like, to a certain degree, like we are all genetically made up differently, and those genes will impact the body that we're living in, period.
Yeah. And it was when I saw, her name is Caitlin Bristow. She's from Bachelor Nation. When I saw her, who's got to be like 90 pounds soaking wet, like she is just naturally very thin. When I saw her have cellulite, I'm like, wow. Like she, quote unquote, has the perfect body in terms of what society standards are. And she has cellulite and she can't help it.
Yeah.
And like, so why would I be worrying about cellulite when someone who has the quote unquote perfect body has it? Like, clearly it's just unavoidable. So,
well, and also again, back to like the who decided that like cellulite was a bad thing. Exactly. When everybody has it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Someone's just making a decision to airbrush it off of the people on the magazines. Someone made that decision for us to take it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ain't no airbrush in the real world, girlfriend.
No. So that's a nice segue into my next point, was who decided that bigger in general was bad and smaller was good? Who decided that? Because in so many other aspects of our life, bigger is better. Like I help people buy and sell homes a lot of the times. Bigger is better. Back to the bedroom innuendos. Lots of people think bigger is better. Like.
Please tell me that's written on your paper. Oh my God, so good.
Think about all these things, right? Like in business, you say like go big or go home. So it's like, why do we attach negative energy to something that is bigger when it comes to our bodies? Like I was walking through the mall and I saw these leggings and they like had a pattern on them. And I was like, oh, that's really cute. That's a cool pattern. And I was like, well, I can't wear that pattern. Like it would make my butt and my thighs look even bigger. Like I should just wear the black, right? And then I was like, but why is it bad if it makes my butt and thighs look bigger? And that was kind of my aha moment with this hack, is like, I'm saying in my mind, I can't wear those leggings because it'll make me look bigger. Why is that bad? why is it bad if it makes it look bigger? It's
Yeah.
because somebody told us bigger wasn't good.
Yeah. In bodies only.
Yes, exactly. Certain body parts only.
God.
I didn't know we were going to take this turn. I apologize.
It's okay. Yeah. But again, like who decided that whatever body you are living in was bad, and who decided that you have to change your body? I think that's why I really like the age that we're living in right now in terms of some of the parts of social media. Again, there's still certain parts that are very, very airbrushed and structured and
Mhm.
very like very, very, this is the standard of beauty and that's it. But there are so many diverse types of bodies that are starting to be showcased as they are, like beautiful and valuable and just as worthy and just as capable as any other smaller body that exists in our world.
Yeah,
I love that about social media these days.
Yeah. I'm glad we're taking the turn just in time for our daughters.
Yeah, I know. I know. I am just so like, I'm not obviously know that she will still struggle with body image because it is so ingrained in so many of us. And like, again, media plays such a huge role in terms of our socialization and also society itself. And so they will be impacted by that. But the learning at home is like the foundational learning, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so if we
Yeah.
can lay that good, strong, solid foundation, then all these other messages that are coming in are just going to bounce right off and hopefully not settle into the cracks.
So, number 8. Okay, so one thing that always stuck with me was, what are the memories I'm going to want to have when I'm older? And this is when I had a girlfriend who, she was, I'll use the word obsessed. She was obsessed with maintaining or getting to a certain body weight, to the point where, she would say no to certain social outings, going to dinner with friends. And I remember saying to her, like, on your deathbed, is this really going to be important? Like that 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 5 pounds? Or would you rather have the memories of,
Mm.
like you went to all you can eat sushi with your girlfriends and one of them grabbed the waiter's number, or you went out for drinks and it went too long. You ended up at McDonald's and that's when you discovered mixing ketchup with McChicken sauce is the best thing on the planet. Like what do you want out of your life? And like, how important could those 10 pounds really be? And ask anybody, I would say, in their 80s, 90s, anything, even 60s and 70s, like, what do you wish you had more of? And it's going to be like time with loved ones, right? It's not going
Mm-hmm.
to be like, I wish I had more Brussels sprouts at my house by myself because I was 10 pounds lighter than the average person,
Well, it reminds me of the whole like just as a mom, like wear the swimsuit and
Yeah.
don't sit on the beach with the t-shirt on, not playing with your kids in the water, because one day you're going to look back and they're not going to want to play with you in the water anymore, and you're going to have wasted all of this time hiding because you're so concerned about the way that that your body looks, that body that gave you those two beautiful children who see nothing wrong with you and just want to spend those summer days with you.
Exactly. Yeah. Focus on the memories. That's what's important.
Mm-hmm. Also,
Mm-hmm.
like again, that kind of even circles back to and ties in like the whole relationship piece, right? Like what your partner tells you that they love X, Y, and Z about you. You're not really sure about it, so you maybe shy away from intimacy. But like, what intimate moments and memories are you potentially missing out on because of those self-conscious feelings that you're continuing to allow to hold you back from living your life and creating those memories?
Yeah. And ask yourself, like, what's the worst that's going to happen if
Mm-hmm.
you just, dive into those, making those memories without a care in the world? Only good's going to come out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And if somebody makes a comment, fuck them anyway, because who are they? And they don't matter.
Exactly.
They don't matter.
No. Okay, so my next one is literally 2 words. They're my favorite 2 words. They can be applied to so many things when you're stressed out, but for the body, the 2 words are so what? Let's apply it to going to the beach. If you tell yourself, "Oh, I can't wear a two-piece because someone's going to see my cellulite." You ask yourself, "So what?" Well, then they're going to see my cellulite. Okay, so what? Well, then they're going to think I'm fat. So what? And you just keep doing that, and you realize very quickly that it does not matter. So anything that is stopping you from doing something, just ask yourself, so what, enough times, and you'll realize it is not worth worrying about. It's not worth not doing something you love for, and it's not worth wasting your energy on.
So what? That's going to be the title of this episode. Honestly, so what? Body conversations with Cher Goetz.
I mean, I apply it to work even.
Right.
At home company, it started as home decor, and I started transitioning, and I was like, well, what are people going to think? And I go, so what? This is my life. I'm going to do what I want to do, So what? Just ask yourself that every time you're stressed out about something that usually has, importance on what other people think or say, just say, so what?
So what? That's great.
Yep. Okay. So my next one is the fact that you cannot hate yourself towards a change. So if you do want to change something about you in a healthy way, if you do want to tone your body or build your muscle, you cannot hate yourself there. If anything, hate is only going to breed more stress in your body, and stress does not equal, a healthy goal being met by any means. If anything, a lot of the times it does lead to weight gain or weight stagnation. So don't waste your time hating yourself. There's no good that's going to come out of it.
You have said so many great nuggets. I think this one, I can't even know. I don't even know if I can use the word favorite, but my go to all the time, if I'm working with clients or if somebody comes to me, and especially if it has to do with weight loss, if you think that you need to lose weight, I need to do this because then I will this, 9 times out of 10, what you need to shift is on the inside, right? Because if you can shift on the inside to a place of acceptance, a place of love, as opposed to a place of, oh, I hate the way I look, I need to do this on the outside, you've got some work to do on the inside, my friend.
Yeah. And if you're not going to get there, and if you are, it's not going to stick.
Yeah. And you're still going to feel the same. Even if you look different, you are still going to feel the same. I mean, I can absolutely appreciate that. If you have a smaller body, that there are some things that allow you in terms of peace, perhaps, but the deeply rooted feelings that you have about yourself are not going to change if you simply just change the number on the scale.
Absolutely. Even when that friend I told you about met those marks, I asked her, so are you happy? Is your life perfect? And she's like, no, I can still pick away at myself. And I'm like, well, all that effort you just put into dieting and exercise, you probably should have put into just loving yourself.
Yeah.
And you would have got there faster. Okay, last one. Everybody always says life is short, life is short, blah, 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 blah. I do not think life is short. I think life is so dang long. If you're hating your body, or if you're doing a job that you hate, or you're in a relationship that isn't healthy, life is long. Days are long, weeks are long, years are long. You're miserable. And so I think what to take from that is do you really want to be doing what you're doing or thinking what you're thinking for the next 40 years, 50 years, 60 years? Because guess what? That's a long time to be torturing yourself.
Yeah. And it's exhausting. right? It can
Yes.
be exhausting.
It's so exhausting. It's so exhausting. So I like never tell myself life is short, like do what you love. I remind myself that life is freaking long. And so I don't want to be doing something that I don't love for that long, or else I'm going to be miserable.
I think that's a great way to end off because, you kind of said, like, yes, okay, for sure. If this relates to your body, like life is long, to be thinking that way and be miserable about the body that you're living in. But, if you are in a relationship that is toxic and with somebody who is constantly putting you down, or if you are in a friendship where it's very one-sided or it's very, well, we use the word toxic again, right? It's not a great friendship. If you're in a job that is making you unhappy, like you got a lot of years to spend in those situations if you don't create a change, and it's not going to serve your overall goal of being happier and living more well and creating more magic if you are stuck in that cycle of miserableness. It's a new word.
100%.
Okay, so these are really great. Like I think that they are very practical. I'm curious. It's a two-part question, I guess. So everybody struggles, right? And so, you said you have these hacks, and how do you ensure that you're consistently implementing them? And what do you do like on your quote unquote bad days?
So I just go back to the hacks. Like if I'm having um a bad mirror day, let's say, I looked myself in the mirror and I saw something I didn't like. I go back to hack one where I was like, well, why don't I like that?
Mm-hmm.
Other things you can do on bad days is like practice gratitude. Focus on why are you worrying about some arm flab when you have like two beautiful children and a gorgeous house, and you get to have a delicious brunch with your friends next Sunday. Like, I just try to put things into perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also allowed to have bad days, and sometimes I think it's nice to lean into them. You're
Mm-hmm.
having a crummy day, take that as a sign that you need some self-care. If you're having a really crummy day, think, gosh, I'm going to have a bath later with a candle and a bowl of ice cream. And afterwards, I'm going to put my favorite body oil on. I'm going to put the coziest jammies on, and I'm going to watch Selling Sunset. And it's going to be freaking amazing. So if it is that bad of a day,
Yeah.
take it as a sign that your body needs some self-care.
I
It
like
doesn't need
that
more
because
hate.
it's not always easy to shake it off sometimes, right? And sometimes you can't. And I remember my naturopath probably like over 10 years ago gave me this piece of advice, and I share it as much as I can because it's been so valuable for me. And I actually shared it with a friend who was going through like a completely unexpected divorce, and she was like, it was the best piece of advice that anybody ever gave me. And it was, if you're having a bad day, or if you're thinking like, this is related to my anxieties, is why she gave it to me. If you're having an anxious thought, whatever it is, don't try and push it away right away. Give yourself like 10, 15 minutes to really feel it. Really feel it in that 10 to 15 minutes. You can cry, you can be mad, you can do whatever it is. And then once that time is up, because you don't want to spend your whole day, right? You want to be able to move on and go for that brunch or do whatever it is. So after you allow that 15 minutes to feel really upset, then let it go for today. And then if you want to do the same thing again tomorrow, you can, but just make the time that you can worry about it smaller so that you can allow your brain the time to process it or think about it and then move on. And that has been like so helpful for me in all facets.
Yeah, burying things definitely never makes it go away. You got to
Mm-hmm.
feel your feels, and then, put the big girl panties on and move on with your life.
Yeah.
I find too, like, doing something for somebody else always gets me out of it too. If I'm in a bad place, just, email a girlfriend a Starbucks gift card for $10, and like you'll get a text and they'll just be so thankful, and they might say like, you don't even know the kind of morning I had. And it will
Right.
fill your cup so much that you will absolutely forget what you were worried about.
Literally on a
that
chemical
morning.
level, like it will increase
Yeah.
your chemical levels. I don't even
Yeah.
want to say which one it is because I'm going to say the wrong one. It's either serotonin or endorphins, and it's escaping me right now. It's late, but nevertheless, absolutely, that is like such a good thing to get out of a funk, is just do something for somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, listen, if this is the first time for real that you've shared these, then thank you so much for sharing them with me, for sharing them with us, because I think that there's some really great little nuggets in there. And who knows, maybe we're putting it out into the universe that you'll have a self-love hacks journal of some sort out into the world sometime, where somebody can take all of these beautiful things from your brain and put them into practice.
Oh, well, if this is the start of it, I'm very happy it was with you. I really appreciate you having me on.
Thank you so much for coming on. And everybody, thank you so much for being here. I will link to where you can find Cher in the show notes if you want to let her know. Thank you for sharing her hacks with us today. And we'll catch you next week. Thank you again, Cher.
Thank you.
Stay well.
Bye.
Thanks so much for being here. I hope you're leaving with a full heart, some inspiration, or you're feeling the kick in the butt you felt like you needed. If you really enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with a friend or let me know. Rates, reviews, subscribing, and sharing are all great ways to support the show. And if you want to stay in touch, follow me over on Instagram at the.balance.bliss. Thanks for listening today, and stay well.